Thanks for joining our special live coverage of President Yoon Suk-yeol's address to the nation, marking the second anniversary of his inauguration. Tomorrow, May 10th, marks 2 full years since President Yoon took office. And to mark the Yoon administration's 2-year milestone, and as he begins his 3rd year in office, President Yoon is delivering a speech to the nation about the progress and direction of his policies. Now, no questions are off the table, but the press conference will aim to address a variety of topics within its roughly 1-hour time frame. Now, the spokesperson will be there to moderate the session. And then the question and answer session will begin after the president delivers a video message to Korean citizens from his own office live, of course, which is what we are waiting for at the moment. He's planning to explain how the administration has executed policies over the past 2 years. The president will also lay out what he plans to pursue for the next 3 years of his remaining term. Now, it looks like he has entered his office, and he will soon begin his press briefing to the nation. To remind you, Yoon's presser comes 21 months after his last media conference, which was for his 100th day in office. And this time, the ultimate goal is not only briefing the nation on the past 2 years. Now, we'll come back after the briefing.
안녕하십니까.
Hello everyone, this is the
요즘 많이
President.
힘드시죠?
I know that we're all going through hard times. The spring is deepening day by day, but the difficulties in people's lives are not going away, but staying, and my heart is quite heavy. Over the past 2 years, we've seen good times, but many difficult times as well. When I hear the complaints and the sad stories of the people I met on site, my heart ached, and I felt a great sense of responsibility. When I was able to solve even one thing or one problem people faced, I felt happy as if it were my own story. In this way, I ran and laughed and cried with our fellow citizens. Today, I would like to stand in front of the Korean people and report you on the government's administrative situation and the policy implementation over the past 2 years and the plan for next 3 years. So far, the government has focused on establishing a market economy and sound finances, changing the nature of our economy to private sector-led growth. The national debt, managing it stably, we have strived to strengthen the fundamentals of the economy and protect the country's credibility. By breaking down the killer regulations, we worked to revive growth engines that blocked corporate investment. Our efforts were focused on creating quality private sector jobs rather than just one-time jobs. And the punitive taxation on real estate that where hardships both for landlords and tenants have been normalized. Korea's diplomatic horizons have also been greatly expanded through diplomacy, including over 150 summit meetings. We have conducted active sales diplomacy and worked to expand our Korean companies' playing field from a 50 million market to a 88 billion market. Our efforts were exerted to expand our economic territory through nuclear power plant exports, defense industry exports, and K-content exports as well. In addition, we established true peace through force based on nuclear-based extended deterrence. With the Washington Declaration in April last year, the ROK-US alliance was upgraded to a nuclear-based security alliance. And the ROK-US Global Comprehensive Strategic Alliance is in operation. By restarting ROK-US joint exercises and establishing a Korea three-axis system, we have dramatically strengthened our defense capabilities to deter North Korea's nuclear and missile threats. The ROK-US alliance has expanded beyond the security alliance that had been in place into a high-technology alliance. Our companies are benefiting from the U.S.'s enforcement of the Semiconductor Act and the IRA, and close economic cooperation between Korea and the U.S. is helping to maintain a stable external credit rating. Moreover, the newly established Korea-U.S.-Japan cooperation system not only strengthens our security but also further expands our economic opportunities. Also, the government has been providing greater protection to an all-time high to socially vulnerable, such as increasing the living allowance of basic recipients. By expanding welfare services that are high in demand, including care and nursing, we're increasing jobs and creating a virtuous cycle of growth and welfare. For our young people to have and plan a better future, we have broken down the hereditary employment practices to ensure that differences in economic ability do not lead to gaps in education. We're supporting jobs, housing, and asset formation along with expanding scholarships. Balanced national development is a driving force of national growth. To have a good soccer game, we need to have a large playing field, and as such, the country can only develop if it utilizes every nook and cranny of our land. The government is implementing a balanced development policy in which the local areas discover their advantageous industries, and this is supported by the central government. To ensure that all regions of our country have fair transportation accessibility, we've been trying hard to realize this. We also boldly reformed the labor market, actively guaranteeing legal labor movements and taking strict action against illegal activities, and as a result, the number of working days lost due to strikes and the number of days of disputes have been reduced significantly to 1/3 of previous governments. Such results are beneficial to both labor and management. And childcare and education is taken by the responsibility of that is taken by the government, and to this end, we are promoting public care. We're expanding Nulbom School nationwide, where parents can leave their children with peace of mind, and children have safe and useful time at school. To ensure that infants and toddlers receive quality education and care services without any discrimination, the management system for kindergartens and daycare centers have been unified under the Ministry of Education. This puts an end to the controversy over management that has lasted for nearly 30 years. By strengthening our high-tech industrial base, we have begun the creation of the world's largest semiconductor mega-cluster worth 622 trillion won. Construction of Shinhanul Units 3 and 4 nuclear power plants that was resumed. The collapsed nuclear power plant ecosystem was restored. The restoration of such ecosystem will not only strengthen our industrial competitiveness, but also serve as a foundation for entering the international nuclear power market worth hundreds of trillions of won. At the moment, the government is promoting medical reform to protect the health and lives of our people, while pushing and pursuing the expansion of medical school admission number. We're also focusing on establishing a fair compensation system, local medical support system, and medical accident safety net. Fellow citizens, over the past 2 years, myself and my government have focused on urgent policies for people's livelihoods, and we have strived to reform the society. Nevertheless, this was insufficient to change the lives of our citizens. For the next 3 years, myself and the government will listen to the voices of the people and take even more care of the livelihoods. We will work harder together with the people to leap our economy forward and open a new era for the Republic of Korea. Fortunately enough, we are seeing green signs here and there of economic recovery. Recently, the OECD raised Korea's growth rate this year to 6.2%. This is the highest level among G20 countries with a per capita income of over $20,000. One of the world's top 3 credit rating agencies, Standard & Poor's, predicted the 2026 per capita GDP of Korea that will exceed $40,000. So it could be said that this is a valuable achievement that was able, in cooperation together with the people, businesses, and the government. When we continue to work together to this end and maintain the trend of economic growth, I would say that the national income of $50,000 is not merely a dream. When a country falls into a swamp of low growth, class mobility becomes difficult and social polarization becomes entrenched. If we cannot overcome class conflict resulting from polarization, the democracy will also face a crisis. The national income should rise, and only then is when the level of freedom and welfare enjoyed by citizens can be dramatically improved. To lead the Republic of Korea on the path of growth, we will further increase the dynamism of our economy and make more active policy efforts to resolve polarization.
First and foremost, an issue that is considered as a national emergency, we will mobilize all the capabilities of the nation to overcome low birth rates. We will ensure that maternity and child care leave can be used more freely and sufficiently, and the government will support such endeavors. And we will institutionalize flexible work hours during the child care period to create an environment where work and child care are compatible. And also, we are going to ensure that there would be no more cases where children have to wait in line to go to kindergarten or daycare. We will dramatically improve the quality of daycare centers and expand the targets who are eligible, including the expansion of win-win daycare centers. And so, we will actively pursue improvements in the treatment of childcare teachers and create an environment so that people, the parents, can leave their children with peace of mind. In order to improve unnecessary excessive competition in our society, which is one of the causes of this low birth rate phenomenon, we will vigorously promote balanced local development policies and social structural reform. To properly lead such policies and execute such policies, we will establish a planning department tentatively named Low Birth Rate Response Planning Department. The Ministry of Low Birth Rate Response Planning the Deputy Prime Minister of Social Affairs will serve as the Minister of this planning institution, and we will establish policies encompassing education, labor, and welfare. And I would like to request an active cooperation of the National Assembly in revising the Government Organization Act to establish this low birth rate response planning department. In addition, we will open an era centered on the common people, the ordinary people, and the middle class, so that the ordinary people can rise to the middle class, and the middle class enjoy more prosperous life. We will increase economic dynamism
dynamism and fairness while rebuilding the ladder of class by expanding educational opportunities. To this end, we will not separate welfare policies and market policies, but promote them as an integrated one. We will increase social mobility through employment and welfare policies and strengthen the middle class through industrial and market policies. Even though you might be unfortunate to fail in the competition, we will join hands with these people and march forward together. By expanding the scope of livelihood benefits and increasing the level of support, we will improve the lives of the most vulnerable. Support for the socially disadvantaged is essential for a virtuous cycle of growth and welfare of our society. If the government can take the responsibility for supporting the elderly or sick family members, economically active people can work harder with peace of mind. The people who have experienced failure, the government will help them so that they can engage in active economic activities, and this will be a great benefit as a nation. I think this is the role of a government or a state. The government's goal is to break away from the outdated view of labor and management issues as a conflict between classes and provide practical help to both labor and management. The tax support and regulatory innovation through such endeavors, many good jobs, good quality jobs, will be created for the workers, and this will result in the increase of income, and this will be, in the end, a win-win situation for both companies and workers. The government will properly support our companies to create more jobs and give higher wages, while thoroughly checking and confirming if the government's endeavors are working properly in the fields and the benefits are going to the workers in a fair manner. Although we have come out of the tunnel of COVID-19 pandemic, small business owners and self-employed are still struggling and faced with difficulties due to the decreased sales and high interest rates. We are going to prepare active support measures to this end, including policy funds and easing the interest rate burden. The government will pursue policies more centered on the people and the middle class, ensuring tangible changes in the livelihoods. As we are entering the era of 10 million senior society, we will take even careful look at the lives of the elderly. To this end, we are increasing the basic pension payment level to 400,000 won within my term. While expanding jobs for the elderly, we will strengthen the nursing and care system to enable active and comfortable lives for the elderly. In addition, we are going to significantly strengthen support for the people with severe disabilities, developmental disabilities, and establish a consumer-centered personal budget system for the people with disabilities. Dear citizens, I have personally identified and I've tried my best to identify the difficulties on the ground and worked hard to resolve them. However, we were not able to resolve all the difficulties faced by the people in the situation of global high inflation, high interest rates, and high oil prices. And we fell short of people's expectations. Over the next 3 years, we will go deeper into the lives of the people. We will listen to public sentiment centered on the field, discovering policy agendas centered on consumers and actively implement them. We will boldly break down all the silos and barriers between ministries and also between departments within the ministries so that public officials in every field can work together and quickly resolve people's issues. We will work harder and more carefully to ensure the government's efforts lead to real changes that are palpable by the people. Fellow citizens, for the government to do a better job for the people's livelihoods, Cooperation from the National Assembly is a must. In the future, we will expand and increase communication with the ruling and opposition parties and further strengthen collaboration. I would also like to make a request to the National Assembly. I believe that the public sentiment for the government and the ruling and opposition parties is to stop the political strife and work together in collaboration for the livelihood of the people. The Restriction of Special Taxation Act, which expands the tax-exempt limit for the ISA, and the Income Tax Act Amendment, which abolishes financial investment income tax, are the bills that many citizens are longing for. There are also urgent bills to overcome the low birth rate, which is an urgent national issue, including the Child Care Support Act, which introduces a national qualification system for child care workers, are still waiting in the National Assembly. The National Assembly's cooperation is also urgently needed to revise the Government Organization Act to establish a tentatively named low birth rate response planning department. We ask the opposition party also join forces to improve the lives of the people. This is so-called high time for us, I believe. We must not miss this important time to revitalize our economy and open new avenues for diplomacy. We have heaps of work that needs to be done right now. If politics continue to increase conflicts between factions while putting off what is really in need, the future of the country and the people's livelihood will be kept and left in the dark and will be bleak. And this is the crisis of democracy. In a liberal democratic country, politics exists to resolve policy issues and people's livelihood issues that depend on the future of the country. The advanced countries, governments, and parliaments, how they mediate conflicts between interest groups and what kind of consultation structures that they have to resolve national agenda and the people's issues, we should take a closer look at such global standards, and so that we can change the way of our work and we can benchmark them. Myself and the government will first lead the change and change what needs to be changed and actively increase communication and collaboration with the National Assembly. Dear fellow citizens, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all the people who trusted the government for the past 2 years and worked hard together with us despite the difficulties. I will listen more carefully to the reprimands and scoldings directed at me and the government with a humble heart. I and the government will do everything in our power to solve the difficulties faced by the people and open a new future for the Republic of Korea. Thank you.
That was our special live coverage of President Yoon Suk-yeol's address to the nation marking the second anniversary of the Yoon administration. We'll bring you more details on the briefing in our upcoming newscast at noon Korea time. Thanks for watching.